sleep on a win and you will wake up with a loss. How do you figure out ways each and every single day to not lose? It's hard to think about how you're going to win. Sometimes these tasks that we're thinking of can be daunting. Sometimes trying to think about being great can be a really hard task. It sounds like too much. It could be too overwhelming. Remember, he who is overwhelmed is distanced and crushed. Never be overwhelmed by anything. Take a step back. Take in a nice deep breath. Join me. Here we go. Take a nice deep breath. Do not be overwhelmed. Understand what your goals are. What are your goals? What do they look like? If you are working towards trying to win each and every day, and you're doing what I've been preaching here all along, is to put one foot in front of the other. I've had this channel since 2007, had the gym since 2006. I didn't come out of nowhere, and I wasn't here out of nowhere. Been here for a long time and ain't going anywhere. Gonna keep pushing forward no matter what. A lot of times people will win, or they'll have a win, and they'll let off the gas pedal. Instead, when you're winning and things feel hard, that's when you put the pedal to the metal. That's when you put the pedal to the floor and you go harder and deeper into what you're doing than ever. You want to challenge yourself, you can do things like wake up at 4 in the morning and go to the gym. Why would anybody do that? It seems like you'd be out of your mind to do something like that. Somebody may say, nobody would do that. Well, that's why they call all those other people nobodies, because those are the people that aren't getting it done. That's from my boy, the Ultimate Warrior, R.I.P. A lot of times people will say, Steve Jobs or some of these guys that have made these crazy amounts of money, why did they ever care so much about being more successful after they had success? Why is The Rock still the hardest worker in the room? Why is Jeff Bezos running Amazon, but he's making rockets? Why isn't he just going home, eating some pizza every night, and just going to sleep, watching Netflix and just hanging out? He already won, right? He should be celebrating. He should just be hanging out. Makes sense, right? But he's smart enough to understand that if you sleep on a win, you're going to wake up with a loss. You always want to be hungry. You always want to play like you're number 2. Who does number 2 work for? You always want to play like you're number 2. You always want to train like a champion, treat yourself like a champion, treat yourself like a professional. And what does that mean? That means each and every day to do everything that you're supposed to do. What does that entail? It entails doing the things that you do not want to do when you normally do not want to do them. 4 a.m. training. Join me tomorrow. I'm going to be at a local gym here in Davis. They don't open up at 4 a.m., but I will be up at 4 a.m. and I will be waiting by the door for the doors to open at 5 a.m. because I believe in trying to give myself a deeper and stronger challenge every single day. The only way that I know how to relate this to anything is to relate it to fitness, because I don't know how to do anything else. So I'm going to relate it to food. I'm going to relate it to cardio training. I'm going to relate it to lifting. But you could apply this to math. You could apply this to gaining weight. You could apply this to losing weight. You could apply this to science. You could apply this to going to college. You could apply this to getting a job. But never lose sight of the fact that you're going to have to work really hard. I know you hear it all the time, but it's actually true. You got to put your heart and your soul into everything that you do. But the easiest thing to understand is the fact that you have to do the things that you don't normally want to do when you don't normally want to do them. I want you to rewind that a bunch and play that back and listen to it over and over again. And that should play in your head the next time you feel the urge to give up. You want to know who wants to give up? This guy right here. That's how I'm able to sit here and talk about it, is because I lived through it. I live through it each and every day. I want to give up. I want to be the fat kid that I used to be. I want to be that dumb little kid and not have any responsibilities, not feel like I have any opportunities. I want to feel like the chips are stacked against me, and I want to feel like I have no hope and feel like there's nothing that I can learn, feel there's nothing I can do. I'd rather just, it would be so much easier for me just to sit around and feel hopeless for myself. But I don't, because I'm not that same person anymore. I'm a changed person, and I didn't just change yesterday, and it's not just this bodybuilding change. This is to show you guys a physical change, but I've been changing for the last 20 years. My personal development has increased all the time, and that's what I'm trying to share with you guys. I want you guys to continue to get better. And I know a lot of you are successful. I meet a lot of you guys at these trade shows, and I see a lot of you guys, and you come up to me and you're like, dude, I put 60 pounds on my bench, or because of you, I started my own business, or maybe you were inspired by somebody else in the fitness industry and you lost weight, or you gained muscle, or whatever. I see it time and time again. You guys are telling me these stories, and they're amazing, and they're uplifting, and they fire me up, and they motivate me. But it'd be easier for me just to sit around and to count my money and retire and hang out with my wife, hang out with my kids, and just get fat. I've already been lean before, right? I already have had a set of abs. I've already lifted the heaviest weights that I'll probably ever lift. I don't know. Why keep moving forward? It's so I can say shit like this. I'm 41 years old. I've been training for, it's gonna come up on nearly 30 years of training. When I'm 42, it'll be nearly 30 years of training. And I can say this, after 30 years of training, I feel awesome. I do not have any injuries. I'm not limping around. I'm not moping around. Mentally and physically, in every possible way, I feel better. Not only do I feel better than I did 10 years ago, I feel better than I did 20 years ago. And I feel better today than I did yesterday. And I'm in the best shape of my life. Think about that. Dwell on that. Where are you at? And why are you not where you want to be? I'll tell you something. It's not your sister's fault. It's not your mom's fault. It's not your dad's fault. It's not your teacher's fault. It's not Donald Trump's fault. It's not the government's fault. It's not the state's fault. It's nobody's fault but your own. It's not your town's fault. I've heard people say ridiculous things like, they don't have any healthy food in this town, or people don't care about training in this town. Well, my gym's in West Sacramento, California. No one gives a flying shit about lifting, except for the 30 or 40 members of Super Training Gym that throw down 4 times a week in there. Make people care. Get so fired up that other people around you ain't got no choice. Let's keep that in mind. Keep in mind what I said, that if you're gonna just sleep on your wins, you're gonna wake up with a real nightmare someday, and you're gonna realize that you're losing over and over again. Rather than concentrating so much on victory and concentrating on trying to get a Mercedes or get a Lamborghini or get a crazy house, what is your financial palette look like? What does your financial requirements and needs to be happy even look like? Because hopefully it's not painted by somebody else. Hopefully you have an idea of what it looks like, because you could be totally fine and totally happy by making $50,000 a year. Some of the happiest days of my life was in my 20s, when I was misguided and not knowing where I was going and just hanging out with my wife and enjoying myself before we had kids and before I had a business and stuff. And I'm enjoying myself now. I'm happy now as well, but the money has not dictated that. I never cared about money. I still don't care about money, and hopefully I will never care about it. I like to make it because to me it represents points on the scoreboard, and it does represent some levels of success, just like pulling up your shirt and showing people that you have a six-pack. That means a lot. but it means a lot more so to other people than it really truly does to me. I feel good about it. It's fun, but I'm not about to take a bunch of bathroom selfies over it. Sleep on a win, you're gonna wake up with a loss. Always strive to be better than you were yesterday. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. I'm out of here.